Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, they were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Danny Guru.
Jennifer, it's wonderful to see you here. How's things?
It's wonderful today. Happy Sunday.
Yeah, happy Sunday. I like the topic of today's show. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yes, we are on episode number 35. And we're going to be going over the gates of love and what are the gates of love and how do they operate. So before we dive into today's topic, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. Share this out. Tag a friend. You guys know exactly what it is that you need to do. And drop a comment if you would like to chime in onto the conversation today. So
Please, I do hope there's comments. It's one of these subjects that leading into Valentine's Day is pretty handy, and maybe on the Sunday before Valentine's Day I'll touch on some more of it or something. We're only going to be able to cover the surface of this all, but when I sent it to you, Jen, did anything stand out? You might have seen the gates that are on the body graph, and I was just curious if did any questions arise, because it seems a little bit abstract, sort of.
No, not at the moment, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm in a bit of a Stevie Nicks type of energy today.
No way.
Yes. So I was listening to her at the gym, we about Stevie Nicks. So.
I love Stevie Nicks. Or shall I say, I love my memory of what it was growing up with those guys. And I had a very dear friend of mine who was in love with Stevie Nicks. I mean, just one of those unrequited love affair things. You love from afar, but you'll never really get there. And so it's quite a thing. It's a heck of a passion. But no, I remember Stevie and stuff. She would enjoy the show, I bet.
Absolutely she would. I'm pretty sure that would be an interesting chart to dive into at one point in time. But I thought it was a wonderful topic that you picked, and I'm very intrigued to see what comes out.
I thought it was a good topic since this is the first day of Gate 41 in the sky. Happy New Year, everybody. It is the Chinese and the Rave and the I Ching New Year today.
Maybe that's why, because I have Gate 41. I'm feeling that energy.
Oh, that's just so adorable.
I woke up feeling like it. I was like, what is in the air? It's like, I did not check my transit. So, but enough about me. I'm going to let you get on with the show.
I haven't looked yet, and I don't know that. I'm pretty sure Sun has transited into Gate 41. And it's one of the gates of love that show up, with us. But I'm not sure if it's transited in already, like if it's upon us at this moment or it went in a few hours ago. I didn't actually check it. But today is Happy New Year. So apparently the Chinese had their calendar have a New Year that was today, essentially.
Yes. I did not. Someone had told me that yesterday, and I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that it was the Chinese New Year. I hadn't been really paying much to the date this month.
Right.
And I do find that intriguing. And I did learn something last night too, because I got to thinking, I was like, is the Chinese New Year normally close to a new moon? because I thought that that was kind of synchronistic, which it is. The Chinese New Year is based on the first new moon, or no, the second new moon of after the winter solstice.
Oh, no kidding.
That is how they bake. Well, Easter is actually the way you get the date of Easter is the first full moon after the summer. No, the spring
The
equinox.
spring equinox.
Yes. So
Yep.
I was like, oh, I see how they're bringing in or how they get these dates. They are actually going off the equinox and the solstices, which I did see you had the vessel of love. And I know that that correlates with that. And it's usually with a moon, a full moon, or a new moon.
See, I didn't even know that. To me, it starts because this is when we go into gate 41. Gate 41 is the initiating codon, the codon or gate, codon in genetics, gate in our body graph, and it's what begins this human experiential process. It's the pressure to fuel fantasy and to fuel hunger and even desire for the next new experience, for something new to come along. It's adrenalized, and it is what makes us uniquely human. It's this human, dude. Without that stream of awareness on the outside, starting at gate 41, there would be no Kama Sutra. There would be no so much stuff, because it starts all the experience. It pressures us to go and dive into all this experiential way of ours, much of which is very intimate and physical, much of which is fantasy oriented. It's just it's the start codon in genetics. It's look at it like a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence. It starts the information. So
well, right now with the current transit, gate 41 and 30 is activated, so that whole channel is activated.
Oh my goodness.
Just to let you know.
Right. So that's the world is emotional today.
Who was it that said? A friend of mine sent me a message and asked me, because normally I'm a Pisces, so I would be emotional, but I'm also Aquarius rising, so I think I'm really tapping into the Aquarian energy. And they were like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fantastic." They're like, "I'm emotional." And I'm like,
well, if wherever the people feel good, they'll be on an emotional high.
I'm on an emotional high.
Yeah. And this experiential way is just so juicy that the high feels so good. It's like everything's good,
Oh yeah, I want to harness this energy. I'm like, can I just stay here? So
good deal, Jen. More. So today we're going to be dealing with the gates of love. They're in the body graph. They're not necessarily the ones you would have thought that they were. And if you pop over to the first slide. Yeah.
Pop that up on the screen.
Yeah. The reason I thought it was a good idea to go over these is because everyone's always asking, what's the primary experiential question? It's so funny, gate 41 in this channel is in the sky. What's everyone always asking? Do they love me? Will I find my love? And on with all this stuff about, and some of them are reasonable questions. Some of them point towards, feelings of emptiness inside, all kinds of things. But as a totality in the whole, humanity is very concerned with what is the love for me inside of this. And it's always as it relates to the partnership or the union with another. Mm-hmm. It's a deeply intimate, passionate, romantic or not, thing. What were you going to say?
As a reader, I have done, I can't tell you how many readings into over the thousands. And I will say 90% of them are all based on relationship and love.
Right. Same here when I read this adds extra depth. I don't read this into a couple's reading when I'm reading for them, except I'll glaze over an aspect because I can't go into this while I'm reading for a couple. I have to keep it on the surface so that they can understand. But knowing the information allows me to integrate more stuff. If anyone wonders why one can be successful with couples, know this material, as part of the whole toolkit. And so that's my plug for couples. Book your appointment if you're a couple and you have questions, and you have struggles inside your partnership and at all, and you just want to know what's it all about. Call it in and set your appointment, because it's I get really to the root of it all. But so here we are. So there are 11 gates of love. There's 11, 7 on the bottom, 4 at the top, and one gate repeats. Gate number 10. Gate 10 repeats. It's part of this universal, what we call it, mundane and anti-mundane love. It's sort of a transcendent love. This is in the vessel of love, and we covered a whole ton of this when we did the Vessel's Incarnation Cross several weeks back, I think right around my birthday. And this is that transcendent vessel of love stuff. I'll just read the thing. There are 2 kinds of thematic gates of love. There's the anti-mundane gates of love. There's that's in the vessel of love. And then there's a love that's deeply rooted. It's a love that's deeply rooted in the monopole itself. This is our identity. It's the love that very much says I. It's the potential for transcendent love. And rarely does it feel as strong as the personal love in the mundane love gates. Just to stop there, the mundane love gates they hold much of the passion and the heat and the stuff that really becomes the glue. So don't let mundane and anti-mundane or transcendent not strike much of a difference.
Right.
When you have the quote mundane gates of love, that brings you here onto the surface with the other. Wherever you have these gates are where these very deep things will start to unfold. And if you don't know they're there, people can start to take things very personally and think that there's something wrong.
Right.
Which
a lot of people do, especially when it comes to love, and it's if something happens, they get all wrapped up in their head like it has something to do with them, and I'm really glad you're touching on this topic, because then maybe we can shed light that it's not them.
Right. And I don't even really want to spend a lot of time on the vessel of love gate, since we only have a limited amount of time.
Right.
I'll get back
we did a whole video on that.
Yeah, right. So. We did. And we did. And so if everyone recalls, or if you recall, the vessel of love, it's transcendent love. I'll just wrap it all up in one thing, is just this notion that the vessel has these universal loves. 25, the universal love of all things. Well, that's sort of transcendent. That is, how am I myself within the love of all things? It's not, and you see on the wheel on the left-hand side, thank you, that is the vessel of love. And you notice, again, these are the equinoxes and the solstices. Mm-hmm. That is where these gates fall. They begin the seasons. And so go back to the other slide, though, real quick. On the mundane gates of love, when we get to them, outside of this transcendent love of ourselves, love of the body, love of the humanity, all of these things, they're rather impersonal. And when I say impersonal, the problem with the vessel of love is that it attracts people, only to find out that it doesn't attract the people that as I, as a vessel of love, attract folks. At times, they have higher expectations of me because it seems so transcendent. I seem so universally able to be so accepting of all the extremes of all the people in whatever body they have, and asking them to love themselves as themselves, because I love you. I love you comes out of my mouth easily, and it doesn't seem contrived, because it's not. It's something I can embroil into regular conversation. I've witnessed this, and I've witnessed others struggle to pour out, I love you, I love this, we are love. I witness it often enough. And so then they hear that come out of me, and it seems transcendent to them. And yes, if I were in a partnership or something, the stuff would transcend into that, but it's still it's very uniquely individual. It's not quite there for the other. It's there for the totality. So, in a partnership, you don't love me enough. You love everything. Yeah. So think of a partner that might have a problem that they have to share their partner with the rest of the world type thing. Yeah. It's not fair to either party. It's not fair to the person who is on the cross of the vessel of love. It's not, or any of these gates, by the way. You just have to have the gates. You don't have to be on that incarnation cross. Plenty of people have many of those gates. without being on the inclination cross of the vessel of love. So any one of them seems transcendent. Somebody has a gate 25 and a gate 15 only in their body graph, and someone will project upon them, "You're so good with all the people. I think you'll be a good family person. Look how good you are, loving all the extremes." Suddenly that person gets into a family. It's like, this is dang personal. I don't know if I want all that, you know? And so again, it's universal. It's just meant to be anti-mundane, as in it's not here to get wrapped up fully in all the heat of the flesh and the world we walk in, and the stuff we do on a day-to-day basis to make us close. It's these mundane gates that bring us close into each other. And you only need one. You don't need any, actually, because you're in the world with all of them. But if you have any of them in your body graph, you'll start to see that you do this. This is a thing that we do. These 7 mundane gates of love, each of these gates of love carries with them a demand of personal connectivity. And through each of these 7 gates of mundane love, we get our what we call our illusion of love. That is our illusion of personal love. Each of them operates through this mundane terminology, through the mundane keynotes, and it's about finding love through those elements with the other. The vessel of love isn't always about finding love with the other. It's half that and half. It's half in, half out. So when a person comes along a vessel and they're half in, oh boy, does it just seem so sweet. But then just remember that vessel has to step half out sometimes before they come back half in, half in, half out, half in, half out. Well, that can seem alternating. How come you love me some days and other days you don't? It's like, no,
Right.
It's like, no, I love you all of the days. It's just, it's silly. That's what I would say if it were posed at me. Every single one of them, I promise. It's just right now, you can't quite tell because I am transcendently out into the world in my mind or in my way or in my attitude or in my whatever it is. I have all this mental definition. So whatever it is I'm dreaming about right now, go ahead.
Now that you say this, it's got me thinking. I had a specific client that was calling me every morning, and it was the same question. How does he feel about me today? And now that I'm like, you're saying this, I'm like, I wonder what was in his human design, because it wasn't that his feelings changed. It was just because he was acting maybe a little bit different or distracted or whatever. The other person was taking it a certain way. And I'm like, do you honestly think that something's going to like automatically switch overnight?
Sounds like that person, were they married in the past?
No, it was they'd been dating for a very long time, but
they broke up with someone and it hurt and stuff by chance.
They had a fight, and so it was like every day she kept calling. They would talk, and then the next morning she would call and ask me the same question. I finally told her, I was like, don't call me for a week.
Right.
Let the energies lie down. I mean, nothing's going to change, but
they might have been
preoccupied with something else is what he was.
It's entirely possible they're recoiling from an interaction where they have expectations that don't belong to the vessel. Those and dudes, here's the thing. So if you're a vessel of love, you still got 20 gates in your body graph that are defined. You're not those 4 gates. You're not 1 gate. You're not 10 gates. You're the whole matrix of anywhere from 17 to 22 gates that you have to find in your body graph. You are that totality. If you try and pluck one out and make that be a total description of a person, it won't work. In fact, if you even take one away and try and let's say you had 20 and you took one out and tried to let 19 of them be the description of that person, you would still get it wrong. You are a totality. We live in a world where all these gates are there, so we all observe, feel, and have aspects of it. But if you have one of these 7 gates that are in your body graph of this of the lower one, the mundane love, what you'll find is, let me just rattle them off. It might be a little hard for people to see. Gate 10 is part of it.
Should I do the other chart?
Yeah. Go to the other slide. You can see it a little bit better here. So on the right hand side, a couple things to notice. We're looking at the 7 gates of mundane love because it's in our world all the time. You've got, and what they do is it's a unique thing that takes place. I'd like people to notice all of these gates either are in or point at the lower 2 awareness centers, the spleen and the solar plex. Everything about our daily, and by the way, again, take this word mundane and make it be something really exalted, because it doesn't feel mundane when you're with the person. It can lead to the great missions. It can lead to the great heights. It can take us through all of this really just yummy, wonderful stuff. Or it could be the bane of your existence if you're not aware and you're expecting something that's not there. They all point at an awareness center. Gate 10 points at three different centers, one of them the spleen. And then you have this sort of tribal ones, which are 44 and 40. And then you have these individual ones, which are 28 and 55, both of them in an awareness center. And then you have these collective ones that are 41 and 58. Again, they both point at the spleen and the spleen and the solar plex center. Our version of love is this intuitive version, the spleen, that is instinctual because we know it moment to moment, that we also feel deeply about. What moment to moment am I doing with the individual that I also feel deeply about? Spleen, solar plex. Notice the ajna and the head and even the throat got nothing to do with it.
Right.
Got nothing to do with the sacral. Doesn't even have any gates of it, although the gates of the vessel of love, 2 of them point at the sacral. That's true. But love is ego, spleen, root, and solar plex business, along with our identity. And the 2 awareness centers are so right now and in a wave up and down with you. Do I feel loved right now and in a wave up and down with you? And then our mind, that has nothing to do with it, gets a hold of that and says, but I want my love to stay steady and consistent in the frequency mind works over all of time. Hey, I remember, I remember you loved me last year and you kissed me a special way. How come you don't do that anymore? Emotional spleen, emotion. That's not ajna business. This is right awareness in a wave that goes up and down or contracts and expands. And then the spleen, which hits. It's a pulse that shows up in the moment to moment, right? The spleen tells us what's good love or not, right, in the moment. So just keep this in mind. This is all about our emotional and intuitive awareness. Intuitive, instinctual being the spleen, and emotional just being the solar plex. So I'm going to go through some of these. Gate 10, I'll start with gate 10. Gate 10 says I. It says I love me or not. So when the person doesn't love themselves, they become impossible to love.
That makes sense.
We've all seen that. So
yes,
the person that concerns themselves that they don't think that they love themselves is actually on a nice, beautiful road to discovering how much they love themselves, because their body has them concerning themselves over their love of themselves. It's a huge conundrum. It's what's that word? I'm looking. It'll come to me in a moment. It's a dichotomy, a polarity. What's this word when 2 things are just opposite and they don't make sense, but they go together?
Oxymoron is what's coming to my mind.
No, it's not that, but it's close. Anyways, it's these 2 things. And gate 10 looks at gate 20 and it says it's trying to find the other. When gate 10 is looking for love in the other in order to love itself, it goes off the rails. When gate 10 looks inward and loves itself and bees its own love with the other, then suddenly all the questions change. I mean, all the outcomes change. So gate 10, it does look at gate 20, right? Gate 10 can go to gate 20 and that's the channel of awakening. So gate 10 says, I love you because when I'm with you, I am awakened. Now, if you give that to the other, then you're going to be disappointed sooner or later. And it looks at gate 34 and it says, I love you because I feel like myself centered in my own convictions, and you empower all of that. You empower me to look inward. That's the channel of centering, the channel of exploring your own convictions. That's 10 to 34. You give me the power to love me within. And then when you look at 10, how it could go to 57. Someone shows up with gate 57 and the other has a gate 10. I love you because I know we are perfect in the moment when I'm with you, the perfected form. So when gate 10 is looking at outside itself to try and find these mundane versions of earthly love in the other, I'm going to change the word mundane to fantastic for the rest of the show.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I keep getting the sense that it's needed. So you look for this fantastic love in the other, and you don't have it in yourself yet. You'll never find it satisfactorily in the other, and they won't find it back in you.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
there's gate 10. It does this thing, and I'd like you to notice on the wheel, look where these 7 gates are located. Notice it's nice to look at the wheel once in a while because it shows us where they're centered, where they're sort of located or centralized. It's all on this sort of one half of the wheel. That is the quarter of duality, where it's all about bonding, the bonding of love that makes us bond and make more. That's what duality is. It's taking one and making two. Duality. And then it's in the quarter, almost all of it's in the quarter of mutation. The rest of it is in the quarter of mutation on this mundane love. That means it's here to be mutative. It's here to go through a death and rebirth process. And then one gate, number 55, the spirit, is in initiation. And it works very closely with gate 25 in initiation, which is one of the gates of the vessel of love. And so the spirit is here to initiate the love that creates the bonding and makes us mutative. That's how that keynotes, and that's how we play stuff out. Every first moment, Jennifer, you held someone's hands for the very first time in this moment, and something felt warm and fuzzy. The spirit is alive in that moment. I remember these moments. I remember the very first time I kissed a girl. I was like on fire. I was like, the spirit was so high and so alive. I mean, of course, I was me projecting into that person. And when they were no longer there, boy, was I sad. I was broken up. My vessel was all turned into mush, man. So that's what this is. The spirit finds the universality of the love that then must bond in this quarter of duality in this very deep way that then becomes so mutative, and our love oversees the death and rebirth process. That's our fantastic, mundane, fantastic love oversees the death and rebirth process with a pile of spirit. And if our spirits are low and we are not acting in our correct self, we can't get that. And I'm quite sure that describes much of the sadness on this planet. And it drives much of this emotional incontinuity that doesn't make sense. And much of the things that just don't feel right that then cause all the brutal action on this planet. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So moving on, gate 44 and gate 40. These are the ego ones, the tribal ones. So gate 44 coming off the spleen. It's hard to see there, but it's the spleen on the left-hand side.
Yes, it's right here.
Right
Yeah.
here. And then notice it's in that stream and it goes over to gate 40. Gate 40. Well, gate 40 is called, gate 44 is called alertness. And in this tribe, it's all about the alertness to the continuity that keeps the material success going for the thing we love. We love the tribe. I'm in my tribe. I love my tribe. And I have to support my tribe. It's a supportive love. It wants to support the continuity. 2 people with this gate in common, for instance, would be great at trying to just keep a thing going and do a thing that earns a material way, because they will find love with each other in their success on the material plane.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic love. Listen, nobody does very well. It's hard to be fully in love when you're dead poor. It's certainly hard to be married and have a family if you're dead poor, right? That's going to be difficult, in today's society. That's just a thing. Unless the beings are very, very awake and with each other, and now they're struggling to find their way in the material plane. They will find their love in the other as they struggle through this material plane, no matter what those struggles bring. And yeah, it'll take time. And yeah, they'll go through trial and error, and they'll have all kinds of various things. You take all the lines of a hexagram and you can apply all of them here. And yes, they will investigate. Yes, they will suddenly naturally find something. Yes, they will be a trial and errorist. Yes, once they figure out what doesn't work and what does work, they're going to externalize all of that. Yes, they will universalize this to the other. And ultimately, if they are successful together, they will become the role model of what it is to deal monetarily with the money, and when I say money, the resources, whatever it is, that helps keep that tribal continuity going. Don't forget,
Right.
a tribe can be just two.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
tribe is one. A tribe ain't one. I guess in your imagination it is, and so I can't even give it that. So a tribe is two on the earthly plane, and it's one if you got a fantastic imagination. Then
I would say it's two or more.
two or more. That is essentially the definition of the tribe. So that's what Gate 44 is doing, and its best expression, it's doing that. In its worst expression, it's your fault. All of this, its worst expression is it's your fault. You're doing this because we are looking for love in the other. As we approach Valentine's Day, and everyone's thinking of the gift they're going to get their sweetie, or the things they're going to do, or the dinner they're going to go out to, make sure all of these things I'm about to discuss are for you first, and your delight in yourself to fantastically want to do the thing that proves you're in love. You seem to share the next day with the other each and every day. Woke
Can
up.
I add something to that?
Yes, please.
It should happen 365 days out of the year outside of just Valentine's Day.
Hell yes.
Sorry. I know some people just wait till Valentine's Day, but it should every single day. Self-love is so important.
Right. So just remember, you're with somebody. If you're waking up with them the next day, every day, some of that is your love. Listen, you might even be on the outs and you can't stand that person or whatever. It's you still love this person. There is a thing because you're there.
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. And on the more exalted side, where it truly becomes fantastic is where you realize it and allow its shortcomings. And then because you recognize this is a genetic force inside the being. Let's bring it back to the absolutely super fantastic. This is a genetic force. All of these are genetic forces driving inside of us, bubbling up to the surface, guaranteeing that behavior. So if you don't see that behavior in one day, it's coming back. Don't worry. It's there. It's, I love you every day. That's what it really is. Even if I don't always have the correct words to say. You just have to allow the knowing of it, because that person keeps being with the other person and they keep staying together. And then sooner or later they find that material success, and in that success, the awareness of 44, which is called alertness. It says coming to meet. We called it alertness. The Chinese I Ching called it coming to meet, because it was the awareness of how to bring the tribal forces together for the demands needed to create the continuity that keeps the tribe a success. That's Gate 44. And driving it is its fear of the past. Its ultimate fear that tribes can go extinct. We can all go extinct. This is not guaranteed. I have an intuitive, instinctual awareness of the past. There's no guarantee we're here tomorrow. Let's keep the continuity and the success going.
Absolutely.
Extinction is always the deepest primordial fear I have of Gate 44 is the fear of extinction. I mean, it's bred into my genome. I've got this in my genome, and then you do too.
Yeah, I've got that whole channel.
Yep. And then basically, as it relates to that, we've got this in our genome, and it's bred in there since our earliest reptilian moments on this planet, when stuff was just creeping out of its primordial soup and starting to swim around. This has been there. Fear of extinction, fear of the past, concerns over continuity. I love you because together we seem to stay together and create a continuity that keeps succeeding. And I can do that as myself with you. And so I love you for that.
That's beautiful.
See, It's fantastic. It's not mundane. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's not mundane at all.
Oh, that's why I changed the keynote to it. Mundane as I get it, but it's fantastic. Gate 40. Gate 40 says, in the book, it's aloneness, the nihilist, the person that says, no, the person that will deny things. Let me see, Gate 40. I forgot the other name for it.
I have this one too. I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Aloneness, deliverance. The I Ching called it deliverance because it delivers that person into the work or delivers them out of the work. It's always that point of transition that the ego is measuring. The ego is always measuring, am I going in or am I coming out? And at that moment is this transition. It's deliverance. I'm delivered into my day. I'm making memes. I'm doing things. I'm going off to the store. I'm going to the gym. I'm delivered into my day. I'm tired. I'm now being delivered out of that into what the ego demands, or the rest cycle, the work, rest cycle, work, rest, over and over again. And Gate 40, the reason they call it aloneness is because it's willing to deny the work or it's willing to deny the rest. It's mostly willing to deny the work and to deny the other. However, it gets paid in a very special currency. It gets paid in the currency that's at the other end, Gate 37. The ego is what does the work. I say this over and over. And the Gate 40 is more than anything that which puts its shoulder to the stinking wheel to make the thing turn. Gate 40, more than the other three gates of the ego, is the gate of the commitment, of the family, of the bargain, and it puts its willpower to work to keep that work going until it needs to deliver itself into rest. And it's, in its not self way, this gate 40 says, look at all this work I'm doing. Look what I'm doing for you. Wow, what a head trip. That sounds so romantic, sweetie. Thank you. In its fantastic version, where it really is, it's, I feel the right affection and I do my work and I can't help but to do my work. And I notice my work seems to feed me and I seem to feel like a mule sometimes, but I love you because I found the right person to be a mule for and to be a mule with. And you can take that word mule and look at it in a very exalted way. The mule has pulled our stuff, and we, anybody who's smart loves their mule. I would guess, take the name away from a mule and you've got people that they take care of that thing and they love that thing because that thing gets up and it does the work. So if you have a Gate 40 and you think you're working too much, find your right rest work reward ratio and be it, demand it, have it, love it, and then love yourself when you're doing the work because you're gonna do the right work for the right love. I mean, humans are meant to bond. Look at all these gates. 1, 2, 3 of them at least are in the quarter of duality, the quarter of bonding, and it's instinctual because the love of the body is right in the middle of that quarter. Gate 46, part of the vessel of love. The whole spleen is in this quarter. So everything that keeps us safe is in this quarter. And Gate 40 is in this quarter. I bond with you because when I do the work I love myself when I'm doing it with you. And I love that you love me back for doing it. And I love the affection that comes, as a consequence of all of this. So now these are all wedding vows. And I do.
And so far I've got 4 of these so far, and you're spot on. I can definitely see how they have expressed through my life and in my relationships as well.
Exactly. So let's move on to the collective ones. I'm going to save the individual ones for last because Gate 10 is again part of that individual one.
Okay.
So Gate 58 and Gate 41 at the bottom of the root center. Again,
Here's 58.
Yep. Now, so these
and
are
then you said 41, right?
41 on the other side.
Yeah, these two.
Yep. So now 58 is the fuel for correction. I love you. Let me correct you. Well,
is this like a fixing one?
What do you mean? Yeah. I love you, let me fix you. Let me, and in our not self-expression, because it's a root gate, so it's adrenalized. There's fuel, it's pouring out. It's in the collective circuitry. It wants to be shared. It's identifying things that are going to make life better. And what else does love do but want to make life better? I love you so much. Let me help you make you better. And then if the 58 takes that personally, and or the person dealing with the 58 takes that personally, it can seem like the other is actually constantly challenging them at why they're not good. That's where it goes wrong. And when it's fantastic is where it shows up as, I've identified all these things and I have all this fuel for correction. And I didn't need to say the first 10 things that came to mind, because there's always something coming to mind for this gate of love. It's pointing at an awareness center. It's going to run into gate 18 throughout its life. And it becomes this pressure to correct and challenge. And listen, when you see your partner totally taking the wrong job because someone bullied them into it, allow gate 58 to help correct and challenge that for you. I love you so much. I don't want you to go uncorrected in this way. So I have to share with you my challenge. Don't take it personally. Now, it's hard. It's a difficult one. Go ahead.
Well, when you say that, I can see some, women, I see women do this a lot. They'll get into the relationship and they think that they can fix the guy, which is the wrong thing to do, because you can't fix anybody but yourself. But if it is presented in a certain way, it may allow the other individual to be more open to accept the information to where it's not coming through as challenging.
As challenging and personal.
Right.
As in you're bad, because listen, this corrective stream of awareness going from 58 all the way up to 16, all it wants to do is enthusiastically, logically identify with really cool patterns that keep getting better and better as it relates to logically looking into the future, so that we can grow a great depth of all the things we need to be safe and secure in the future. Show me the patterns that make us safe and secure in the future. It works really well with that tribal stream on the inside that goes from 54 and has gate 44 in it all the way out to 26. Instinctually, let me keep the tribe safe, and collectively, let me identify the patterns that keep the greater whole all around the tribe safe into the future. So they are supposed to work together. In our world, this gate 58 coming out of Davos, for instance, is, hi, I don't even know if I love you. I don't care. I'm cold. I'm collective. And I'm going to correct this, whether it kills you or not. So it's not so fantastic anymore. It's not even mundane. It's just wicked and evil. So this can turn either way. And so as you're an individual with gate 58, recognize you got things that come out of you, and you notice all the things you have fuel for correction. If you find that your partner is taking it personally, start to adapt a little bit to that. Maybe even discuss it, because on the fantastic side of gate 58 is, not only did I notice it, honey, but I made sure to let you know. And guess what? I've got a ton of fuel to share my energy with you to help fix this. Let's fix this thing. I love you so much. I'm going to stick with you while we share our energy fixing this thing that went terribly wrong. Let's fix it. That sounds good to me, Jen. I mean, that's fantastic again. So when we go over onto the other side, my favorite ones are the tribal gates, by the way, probably because I have one of them. I have a gate 44. By the way, in my life, so just so you know, I look back, every single person who's been an administrator inside of my company, my mortgage company, for these past 20 years, 22 almost years, has had gate 26 or has had the whole channel. I put it together last night as I was listening to this. Has had a gate 26 or the whole channel, and we always tore it up. We made stuff happen. We were in proximity to each other, but in proximity, we made stuff happen. And I remember not self themes coming out of me about all of that, back before I even knew this knowledge. I go back and I look at it, and fear of the past drove me to do crazy things because I was afraid the continuity wouldn't be there tomorrow. Luckily, as a generator, I would just shut off and fall asleep at some point. But that's not very. That's a minor luck draw. It's not a big lucky shot. It's minor because the same toil and trouble is there the next day. It shows up quickly when I would get back into that aura. But that's who I was not. Anyways, so we go across and we see gate 41. This is the only gate. None of these gates have anything to do with the heat of the sexuality that everyone seems to think they need to tie sex with love. Like as if we had sex, ergo I love you.
That's a total misconception.
That's a misconception. It can lead to that. Sex is always going to be part of what is a loving, dualistic relationship where a man and a woman come together, for instance, or two people, shall we say, partners come together. And for anyone out there who's listening, I have a bias. I'm a straight man, so I will always say man and woman. Please don't take that personally. But I would like to acknowledge that there are other partnerships, of course, and they're profound. And in that profundity, this is the only one that has to deal with the sexuality. Gate 41, there's moments when it heats up. It's got fantasy. It fantasizes about all the things that could be possible. There's no rules to the fantasy in this gate. It starts the human experiential way. Out of the desire and the hunger for the new experience comes this idea that becomes this possibly tangible thing. And then gate 30 at the other end picks that up and turns it into a feeling. And gate 40 releases these things one at a time. If you have a gate 41 in your body graph, you'll notice you release these fantasies. They sort of seem to be sequential. They come one, and then it comes another, and then it comes another. And in its not self-format, where it would really just start to, because again, it's collective, right? It's in the collective circuitry, just like 58. Ergo, it's let me share this with you. So gate 41 could turn really rotten when I have this fantasy and I can't share it with you. It's your fault. You're bad. But I desire this. I hunger for something different. You're not good enough. And rarely will they put it that way to the person. So now what are they doing? They're lying. They're not saying exactly what they think is going on in their head because, again, this is not an awareness. So people still give aware properties to an unaware gate, and then they get in trouble. Our awareness comes out of our spleen, our solar plex, our ajna. And the solar plex is what's waking up. This is where things get really juicy, and the spleen keeps us safe in all of that. So I could keynote it as the spleen keeps us safe as we explore the juiciness of our solar plex love. That would be a great way to keynote that. That's why all of these gates point at or are in the spleen or the solar plex. Again, there's an incredible continuity with these gates. They really do connect all together. And so the exalted version of 41 feels very much like I had this fuel for this desire that showed up. And I shared it with you. I love you so much. I can share that and not expect something from you for it. And thank you for letting me share that. And the other can say, I love that you have those things. And I love that my life is here with you. And I love that I wake up the next day, every day with you, 365 days and a quarter days a year. And I love that I can share in that with you because sometimes it happens. Sometimes we do the thing. Thank you for the fuel. And I love that in you. And I love that out of you sometimes comes a desire and a fantasy and some imagination and a fuel that we can chase down together and share. Thank you, and happy Valentine's Day. These are all Hallmark Valentine Day cards, by the way. Someone wants to pick up on that idea, please. But like Happy Gilmore, I want some credit, okay? So you give the HDA podcast some credit for that one.
Right? If someone comes out with human design,
human design Hallmark
I'm pretty sure they could do all holidays.
Yeah, we really could. So let's move on to the other two. So the individual gates. Now remember, so they are the 28 and they are the 55. The 28 off the spleen and the 55 off the solar plex center. So first thing we're talking about is moodiness, right? Individuality, it's moody, it's uncertain, it's in a pulse, it's incredibly creative. Individuality brings mutation. The fantasy in Gate 41 brings all kinds of crazy, great, amazing, interesting things, but not necessarily mutative things. The individuality is what brings the twist that makes it mutative. The fantasy is on something that's already been around as a possibility. The mutative is brand new. And Gate 28 and Gate 55, they bring purpose and spirit, passion and romance to the love as a love gate. If you've got a Gate 28, you've got a great big job in this world. You're here to struggle. Love is a struggle. Let me empower you with what I've struggled for so far. I love you so much that I don't mind that sometimes it appears as if our love seems like a struggle to you. I trust that you're awake to this nature and that you're okay with me not understanding your struggle sometimes. And the person with the gate of struggle in its exalted, most fantastic way would say, don't worry, sweetie, it's my struggle and it hit me today. It came in a pulse like the individual definition always does. It showed up. I'm a little bit moody and melancholic right now. And yeah, I'm struggling with this thing. And I'm glad you're here to help empower that. I love you for empowering my struggle and not allowing it to seem like something that's bad. Gate 28 struggles for a purpose, and it takes risks. It becomes a game player. It's willing, by the way, Gate 28 is the only thing. It serves a dual purpose. It has a sharing capacity in it, like the collective. Several individual gates have a sharing capacity in it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole body graph is a sharing machine. You know, who are we kidding? We want to share everything, but we want to empower them. And Gate 28 takes all of the integration that is right above it. If you take Gate 28 and sort of follow it up that stream of awareness, it goes to 57. Yeah, in the spleen. And now 57 opens up to all that integration definition. You know, that spine, that backbone. And integration is totally self-empowered, self-concerned, selfish. If we were only an integration channel on this planet, we would only be self-concerned and we would have never reached a population like we have. Gate 28, when that is present in the world, it takes integration and it makes it more loving. It makes it more friendly. It says, gate integration, if you leave it alone, it says, I am self-empowered, I empowered myself, period. And that's I. When you add 28, it turns it into we. It makes it become more we. And suddenly integration has to become more loving because it can't just self-empower itself. It's got to self-empower itself so that that power empowers the other. Integration is here to empower survival for everyone, not just for itself. At an earlier time in our history, I am certain that integration was a primary construct, not just a tertiary construct that's part of our survival, but a primary construct without much of the rest of this stuff because our body graph wasn't opened up like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
In a 7-centered way, we were just a giant phallus, if you think about it. And in our 9-centered way, even just looking at the body graph, it opens up into much more of a yin shape, from a yang straight line into an opened yin feminine mother style shape with, I mean, if you want to get technical, with hips and the ability to rear a child. You know, if you can look into the body graph and see, oh, the straight line can't rear a child, but this body graph can. It's very much the yin and that type of, that mother style of affection. And Gate 28 is no shortage of that yin energy as it relates to making softer everything above it. And its struggle is to continue to find purpose in doing that. Let me find the love of myself in the pulse, right? Mutatively, individually, in the intuitive pulse, to find love in myself and the purpose that then helps guide us both. So in its not self way, as something difficult on the planet, Gate 28 says, I'm struggling and it's all your fault. Again, all of these things are about partnership. I thought I loved me, but I can't even tell if I love me, and I definitely don't know if I love you, and I'm fickle and moody and I'm blaming you now. I don't want to be near you. I don't like, and suddenly comes out personal. And they're no longer contributing the uniqueness of the struggle that they found. Little did that person know, all they had to do was wait. It's called melancholy. We all now know if we simply wait out the melancholy, it becomes a creative state. Our greatest creations come after the sadness and the melancholy.
Yes, it does.
And we need to stop seeing that as some kind of mystery. And it's beautifully mysterious as it happens, absolutely. But we need to stop seeing the larger context of that as a mystery. It's not a mystery, guys. It's a mechanic. It keeps happening over and over again. Why don't you learn to count on it, just like you count on it when you cut your finger that the blood coagulates and it stops bleeding. You count on that, right? You count on all kinds of things. Whatever, pick all kinds of crazy things your body does. You count on it. You're a girl. You got a cycle every freaking number of days, right? Every 28 and a half days. If you're 20 years old, you know for sure your friend is showing up. You count on that. You got no choice. Count on this. When you're sad, start to get happy because something amazing is coming on the other side. The amazingness of your body is about to give meaning and purpose to the struggle. So Gate 28's most fantastic says, I love myself and I love you inside of this struggle. In the moments that it's a struggle, something amazing always comes on the other side. And if it doesn't, you're not held to account. You're not required to deliver something amazing. And that in and of itself is amazing. I love myself when I'm with you and we are this way. Thank you. That's how this would sound, with some other keynotes. And then over to 55. Well, we all know what's going on with Gate 55. I mean, save the big daddy for last in a way, right? What time is it, Jennifer? How are we doing on time?
It is 2:07.
Shall we carry on?
Yeah, we can. Is 55 last, or do you?
Yeah, it's the last one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Do the last one.
So I'd like to point out about all of these gates, both the mundane and the anti-mundane, is when you take them all and if you keynote them all together, all 11 of them, even though there's really just 10 of them, all 10 of them, you keynote them together and you get what we expect as a holistic love that we want out of everyone. And you get what it happens when we make jokes about one partner making a checklist about what they want in their next partner. You go through that checklist, and I'll be able to keynote these 11 gates. These 10 gates.
I bet you can.
Yeah, and or so much of it. I want someone who makes money, who works hard, who doesn't struggle too much, but struggles just right. Who does whatever. I could go through all of this, but
we could probably do a whole class on just how to manifest your dream partner doing this.
You know something? There's something we could absolutely do. Jen.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, in fact, and you know what? That would make traction and bring interest and more stuff into human design. My Gate 44 is kicking right now, Jen, because what I'm seeing is material success for HDA and anything else that HDA partners up with or is connected with. And I think that's great. That's immediately what went off in my head. I can always count on my Gate 44 to witness how might I be supportive and something I can share with another. All of these.
I might not have that old channel.
Right. So again, so it's a trajectory thing, and it was no wonder I ran into you. So Gate 55, the gate of spirit, the spirit of the self, the gate of abundance is what it's really called. That's what the I Ching called it. It's the abundance of the spirit or not. Again, it's individual. So we have to apply all the individual things to it. What stream is it in? It is in the emotional awareness stream of passion and romance and union between two. First and foremost, not exclusively, but much of that. It is the spirit of that. And it is fickle. It says that love is fickle. And it is, this is a fantastic gate, and I would call it anti-mundane as well as mundane on the physical flesh surface, because while it is not sexual, when the passion is right, it can be deeply passionate. When its abundance feels full, and when Gate 51 has come to its mutative pulse and gone through its melancholy process, it is in the channel of emoting after all, and what it's looking for more than anything is the right person. Gate 39 on the other end is the energy But more than anything, it's looking for the right person that provokes its spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Provoke my spirit. And in its not self way, where it just falls into misery inside of a relationship, is I can't tell if I'm full. I don't know if I'm in the mood. It's emotional, so it doesn't know if it's in the mood. I don't know. Do you love me? Well, mostly, what do you, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? We've been together 20 years. Well, I'm here, aren't I? Gate 55 is capable of that. The holistic body graph will more likely give a straight answer. But if someone were just a gate number 55 in their body graph and that's it, it would be, I don't know. I can't tell. It is the most moody and melancholic of gates as it relates to its ability to go up and down between the sense of abundance or not abundant. My spirit is abundant. My spirit is not abundant. And it's not self-format in a relationship, in a partnership. It's, I don't feel abundant. I don't feel abundant with you. I can't tell if my spirit is here. I'm avoiding you. And suddenly the passion dies. Oh, the passion is dying. That's your fault. I don't like it. We're no good together. And all the while it's an emotional gate. So, hey, I heard you just said that. If we're aware of our nature, how about let's wait a week and see if it's still the same, because it's got to go through its emotional awareness. Now, if it's in an open center, it won't have that emotional awareness and it can seem incredibly erratic. If it's in a divine center, it'll have that emotional awareness and it can seem incredibly erratic. So,
yes, I can testify to that.
Right. You have a gate 55.
Yes, I do.
Fifth line, right. So the abundance
of 555.
555. Gotta love that. So when we look at it, I have 6 gates in all of this. And you said you have 4 in all of this.
Yeah. Do we count the vessel of love?
Twice. Yeah.
Because I have gate 21 or 25, I mean.
Yep.
So, and yeah, I think that's it. If I'm not mistaken. I have 25, 41, 55, 44, and 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5.
You have 5. Yep. I have 6 gates, but that's only because gate 10 gets counted twice. It's part of the 7 mundane gates, and it's one of the 4 vessel of love gates. So technically it's just one. There's really 10 gates of love. It's just that gate 10 gets counted twice because it's on both sides. And so the spirit of where this love comes out right, and the hallmark card of the spirit of it all is, I love that you're fickle, because on the other side of the fickle, I see what the true passion and romance is that comes out of you. I love myself when I'm with you and you're fickle, and I'll wait. And I'll provoke you some too along the way because you need it. And in that mutative pulse, we will find something new. Something new and mutative comes out of all of this. And on the high side, I love that I'm with you and you are up on this wave and it feels good and you feel abundant. I love that the glass appears half full. What can we enjoy today and empower each other with today? That's what this would sort of sound like. And then from the person who has the gate, it's, I love you because you accept my spirit, whether it's up or down. And you stay with me and you empower me no matter what, through thick and thin. And thank you. And that's what the person who has gate 51 would say about the other. You always show back up to re-empower my spirit somehow. Even if you went missing for a day or two, whatever, you came back. You showed up and you were consistent. Thank you. You keep showing up to consistently do that. So this is how these gates would talk to each other, and in their terrific, fantastic, exalted forms. This is humanity's mundane love. And gate 10, by the way, is just, I love myself. I love myself so much. And I love it when myself is also with you. And I love that you let me love myself when I'm with you. And I notice we seem to be able to do this day in and day out. Thank you very much. That's what gate 10 is trying to say. Mm-hmm. When gate 10 goes off the rails, it's, I thought I loved myself, but I can't tell because you're not loving me. Right. And it requires the other's love to define its own self. That's when it's going south, it's going wrong. But when it just is comfortable in its own loving of its own self, like I said in the beginning, if it questions its own love of itself, that's the first indicator that it's really on its way, and or does it a whole ton more than it realizes, and you've just got a mind with a frequency holding on to memory over all of time, confusing you. If you're looking into it, trust me, you love yourself. It's there already, or you wouldn't be looking into it, questioning it. So when you add them all together, I love myself and the work I do and the material way we've sought out and found the challenges to overcome, and the spirit that fills up, and the fantasies and the desires that we get to sometimes fulfill, and the things that need to be corrected in the struggle that keeps us together as we go through this whole both mundane and anti-mundane version of life. I love that the other is consistent with me in these ways and leave space and room when it doesn't seem to show up in that moment. I love you for holding space for my abundant spirit when it doesn't show up, because it's not going to show up every time.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the gates of love in the body graph. They don't, other than, again, nothing to do with mind. You get mind right out of
nothing.
Nothing. They don't even point at it. They don't get there. They don't touch it. Nothing to do with the top two centers in the body graph. And we might as well go back full screen, Jen.
I was just about to do that.
Those are the gates of love in the body graph. And I think they're amazing. And I could tell there were moments when you were touched, Jennifer. You could feel it, right? So when I first looked at them, I was like, what? What? I remember when I was first taking this course a couple of years back, and I was like going through it, and I first saw the gates. I looked at them, I was like, I get the vessel of love part, but what? And then I was like, I guess I understand 55, but what?
No, the ones that I have that you spoke about, I can see how those were expressed throughout my life. And, not just romantic relationships, friendships as well, or even like with my family, the way that we had expressed love. Yes, definitely.
I remember myself growing up, and every time I could get onto something that seemed like it would drive into something successful, I was on it. And I loved myself being that, and I didn't know that this was the alertness of my gate 44, being alert to that continuity. Granted, picking pears off the neighbor's tree and putting them on a wagon to go around and sell amongst the neighborhood isn't really going to bring continuity to the mortgage payment for my mom and dad. But, it's a start.
You did pears?
I did pears a little bit for a little while.
I made paper fans.
Oh, really?
Yes, one summer it was really, really, really hot. So I did the accordion fold.
Yes.
I went door to door selling the paper fans because it was hot.
Yeah, it was great. That's awesome. I didn't do it very long with the pears because I realized people get all paired out, and it only works a couple days, and then I stopped. But
right,
it's the initiative that took me door to door with with my wagon filled with pears in the first place. What do you want to bet? Some of the adults bought a couple pears for a nickel or a dime, whatever it was, and just they sat somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Some people bought my paper fans.
Right. Look at this.
So that was totally my 44 playing out there.
Right. And think about what in the person made them buy the thing that they knew they weren't going to use because the kid was so adorable going door to door and showing that initiative. They were rewarding that 44 and that 40 because as soon as you were in their aura, you put that in them. And that was an amazing love affair in that moment with them.
Yeah.
The fantastic love was there when the nice little old man or little old lady, whatever, peeled off a few dimes or $1 for you to do the thing. She was empowering that spirit. It's so, I can keep going back and forth with these keynotes. They're so wonderful. And boy, do they show up. So those are the gates of love, everybody. They're present in the world. Look for them.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to be on the eye out.
Yeah.
And recognizing them. So thank you very much for that.
This was wonderful, Jen. I like this show. I wasn't sure how it would turn out. It turned out great.
Yeah, no, it did. It turned out great. The only comments that we have is from a Boop, but he says his name is Ryan.
Oh, that's Ryan. Ryan Boop.
Yes.
He's one of
so-
our dude. He's one of our patriot freedom fighters.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
he's up on Chris's farm. Love you too, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's a national. He's going to be a state national before long. Everyone needs to do it.
yep. Working on that, Ryan. Me and Dan keep talking about that behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure that
Operation
will happen.
Wildfire, Ryan.
Yes, Operation Wildfire. And I think the word you were looking for earlier was contradiction, maybe?
Oh. Yeah. They seem to be a contradiction to each other.
Yep.
Whereby one seems to contradict the other, but it doesn't. Yep.
Yes. So, thank you everybody who tuned in today. And I spoke with Dan, I think it was yesterday. I had an idea to do for our Wednesday show. We did Nikola Tesla last Wednesday, and I was watching the documentary, and Edison was Nikola's. Tesla really looked up to Edison until he got over here in the United States and met Edison, entered into his aura, and there was friction. So
we're gonna find out why.
Yeah, we're going to find out why. So this Wednesday show is going to be part 2. We're going to be diving into Thomas Edison's human design.
And some of it is going to be Tesla versus Edison in a way, right?
Yes, because it would be intriguing. I'm pretty sure that there was something that triggered Edison right off the bat about Tesla's energy, which both of them loved to do, or their whole thing was around energy. So it would be really cool to see how their energy is impacting each other or influencing each other.
Can't wait to see it. My guess is we'll find that one is the unique creature of amazingness, and the other one is the industrialist that happens to also be really smart.
Absolutely, I'm pretty sure I can tell which one is which.
Which one is which? Yep, me too.
So, tune in on that, and as always, make sure you like, subscribe, follow the show. If you haven't already booked a reading with Dan or had him do your analyst, the links are down below. You can book that. Definitely, if you are a couple and you want to deep dive into how y'all work, get a session with Dan for sure.
We'll do it. Thank you, Jennifer. This is wonderful.
Yep.
Take it easy, everyone.
Y'all have a beautiful Sunday.
Yep. Peace out.
Bye.